Welcome in to the Joanna McNamee Show. I'm Andrew Joyce and the Joanna McNamee Show. Of course, Coach Mac, as we belovedly call her, head coach of the University of Pikeville women's basketball program, just wrapping up a 14-18 season, 7-11 in the conference regular season, providing the first and one of few upsets in the Mid-South Conference tournament. I told you about 2 months ago, this is going to be a team that other teams will be scared of come Mid-South Conference tournament, and this team got one in the conference tournament. Your thoughts coming off the conference tournament?
I think the conference tournament, although the last game was a tough pill to swallow, it was a good positive note for us to end the season on. You know, I think it gave our players, our returning players, hope and hunger for next year. And I think seeing Campbellsville and Georgetown and knowing the talent that they have, but also seeing their work ethic that they put in, and even in our game, that last game, being down, up and then going down, and
sure,
seeing the mentality that those teams have when they're down, that they don't, the fight continues to fight. I think that's one thing that we learned from those games, and I think that that's what we're going to build on.
Let's get into the mind of Joanna McNamee. 14-18, your first year at the University of Pikeville. You get an upset to end the tournament, then a tough loss in the conference tournament. But as you've reflected on this season, what you would do differently, what you will do differently in the future, your thoughts after this season's complete?
That's funny because that's exactly, I've reflected. That's, I think, what we do as coaches is reflect on the season and things we would have done differently. And definitely one thing I would have done differently is from the jump, maybe set the bar of accountability a little higher than I did.
Sure.
Being new and just trying to get to know our players and them getting to know me, I probably made me a little bit of a softer coach, I think, more soft than I should have been. So moving forward, that's something that will change. But I think that these players are hungry for that change. And I think they'll be prepared and ready for that. Things that we try to do and I will always try to do is create an atmosphere where the girls can come together and be sort of like family off the floor. And
sure.
And I do think toward the end of the season they started to be like that. And that was kind of nice to see. And I'm hoping that that carries forward with the returners we have into next season, because that's an important thing.
Sure.
Coach Wells just mentioned, as if your team doesn't get along off the floor and doesn't really love and respect each other, it's hard to be a championship program.
Right. 14-18, knowing the programs you've come from, not an acceptable record,
No.
Not something you're satisfied with at all. But in year one, with transitioning to a new program, with your recruits coming in, with returning players, trying to make it all gel, some games that got away, some things that went on during the season. What are your thoughts, 14-18?
It's disappointing. Definitely probably the hardest year of basketball from that standpoint. You hate to say that your only judge of success is wins and losses,
Sure.
but in our sport, that really is your only judge of success. Even if you lose by the close margins that we lost by, they're still losses at the end of the day, and the record
Sure.
is still a miserable record at the end of the day. So that is something that next year, and I think it's that little bit of extra fight that our team is going to have next year that's going to keep us out of that seat and into the seat that flips that wins and losses around.
As you put this season to bed, you begin the recruiting process, you have individual meetings with players, and start looking forward to the 2014 and 2015 season. As you prepare for that, you look at players that won't be back, that won't be a part of the program, and you look at needs for the team next year and
Right.
beyond. What are you looking for when you're on the recruiting trail?
Of course, skill level has got to be good.
Sure.
And then outside of that, I'm trying to find players that have both skill and character. Character players are huge, and that's one thing that I think we have, basically 8 returners, one that'll be a newcomer, so 7 returners and 1 new. And I think that's something that they all have is really good character. And again, it's hard at this level or at any level to win without that.
Sure.
So we're going to have that, and I think outside of talent, because talent has to be, you know, for us to beat the Georgetown and Cumberlands and Campbellsvilles of the world, we have to be more talented.
Sure.
You know, but you can take that kid that is talented, that works really hard,
Right.
and put a group of them together, and I don't know, you know, who stops us next year. So that's what, you know, looking on the road, I'm trying to find players that gel with the players we have right now, and that can go hard.
Perhaps
and want to go hard.
Sure. Perhaps someone's tuned in right now, a high school player, a junior high player, someone who's just started playing organized basketball. Possibly it's someone who's looking to transfer,
Right.
someone who's looking at this program and is contemplating playing for Joanna McNamee and would like to be a part of this program. Joanna McNamee's definition of a character player.
It's a player that is not self-absorbed, a player that puts their team first and understands the sacrifices you have to make to be great, and that the want to be great isn't good enough, but you have to work for it, and is very coachable and wants somebody to coach him to be great, and welcomes that constructive criticism and looks forward to it and understands that, you know, they have to push and grind. And, you know, like I said the other day, you can't have a player that is too cool for the struggle.
Sure.
You know, and just stays in their comfort zone, because those players are never going to end up winning for you.
Right.
And so I'm looking for that player that, you know, welcomes pushing the envelope and pushing themselves to be the absolute best player they can be, and that's what we want to surround ourselves with.
Heart of a champion.
That's right.
And it makes up the heart of a champion regardless of the sport. 2013-14, as you reflect on the season, hungry for next year to get started?
I can't wait. Yeah, we had some player meetings the last couple of days, and, you know, March 24th is our hopefully start to postseason, and I wish it was tomorrow. I can't wait to start back with the returners and really help them just to keep evolving as great players.
What's up for returning players to the U-Pike women's basketball program? What will their days be like during the off season?
They'll do individual workouts. Like each of them will do about 3 hours of individual workouts a week. They'll do 3 sessions of pickup basketball, and that's really fun, you know, where they just play maybe an hour, hour and a half on their own and
Sure.
and pick up, and then they'll do weight training and conditioning for about 3 hours a week. So it's not strenuous. It's not totally time consuming. It's
Right.
going to take about 10 hours of their week with basketball, but it'll be, you know, sometimes the weight training and conditioning isn't always necessarily the fun part of basketball, but it is for the players that want to be great.
Right. And champions are made in the off season.
They absolutely are. You know, they always say that the outcome of your season is determined before it even starts, and that there's nothing more true than that.
Absolutely. Joanna McNamee, head coach of the U-Pike women's basketball program. If you look simply at the record, 14-18, below 500, I think a lot of folks around the U-Pike community feel like this has been a successful season. It's a team that we've been proud to watch and looking forward to things in the future with Joanna McNamee's squads. We'll talk with some players. We'll meet a couple of Bears when we come back. The Haneys
That's
coming
right.
up on the Joanna McNamee Show, and we'll return with more. It's presented by Appalachian Wireless.
Hey now, come on, let's go. The music's playing, I've got to move on, to go out, no more delaying. Pack my things up, carefree, adventures waiting. I'm heading out to see the rest of the world.
Welcome back in. It's the Joanna McNamee Show, where we talk all thing U-Pike women's basketball. Andrew Joyce, as we step into the Bears Den now, joined by a U-Pike junior out of Lexington, Kentucky, Courtney Haney. Welcome back in. You've been a guest before.
Yes, I have. Thanks.
So this is old hat for you. Nothing to be nervous about. We talk about wrapping up the season and what's coming up for Courtney Haney. But before we do, let's talk about the student part of Courtney Haney, and let's remind folks what your major is and what you plan to do in the future.
I'm a psychology major, now art minor, and I want to do art therapy in the future.
I thought that was interesting
Yeah.
when we heard that before. Tell me about some of the career opportunities for an art therapist.
Well, I think it's kind of an upcoming profession, and it'd be neat for any practice, I think, to have an art therapist. You kind of, it's like you take a different approach when working with people doing therapy. Like you have them, do like a painting or a drawing, you dissect the symbols and what those mean, and you kind of like, it goes towards like dream interpretation, like kind of like personality analysis. So it's exciting. I want to go to grad school. There's a grad school in Louisville that's only an hour and a half from Lexington, where I'm from. So
Sure.
it'd be neat to be able to go to grad school there and be close to home.
So I have some doodles that I was working on during the break. Could
I
you
could try to
interpret
figure 'em
those
out.
for me?
Yeah. Or you could tell me about your dreams, and I could like try to
No.
break those down.
We're not going there. Courtney Haney, let's talk about the 2014 season. Just finished, 14-18, got an upset in the Mid-South Conference tournament. From the locker room, from a player's perspective, your thoughts after this season's wrapped up?
It was really rough after the game was over. Everybody was pretty torn up.
Sure.
And it hurt that we went out in that manner, especially since we were up 10, 12 points for a while there, and we went on like a stretch where we didn't score for like 7 minutes, and
Right.
you can kind of start to see everyone get down and just the looks on everyone's faces. And I remember being down by 2 and everyone was starting to look kind of defeated, and that was so frustrating for me. I remember trying to cheer people on and encourage people.
Sure.
That's been one of my major roles on the team, is I encourage everybody and I try to motivate everybody, and I stay as positive as possible all the time. So even though I was just trying to drill in people's heads, be tough, we got this, we can still do it, we just started to, fall apart there at the very end, and it was really sad to have that loss and to end it that way, especially after coming up with that great upset right before, which felt great. But it was neat there at the very end. We really pulled together as a team, and we got a lot closer. I wish that it would have happened sooner in the season, but to have that happen at the very end and to have that great win, it's great that we can see that possibility of it starting sooner for next year.
Sure.
With the people coming back, we have a close bond now, and we've kind of been through it a little bit, and we expect more out of each other. And next season, even starting now, we've been talking about holding each other accountable more. So
You talk about that, and that was my next question. Coach Mack, new to the program this year. She had to get to know the players. The players had to get to know her style. Things were different in and around the program. You talk about the bond that developed late in the season. She talked about it as well. How is that used as a springboard to next year?
I think that now everyone knows each other a lot better, and everyone's more comfortable, and it's now we're able, I think, to look at each other and tell each other what we're not doing and what we need to do. And I want to take it upon myself to I've already ran the past couple of days right after the season's over. Me and my sister ran the loop today.
Sure.
And a couple times. So I really want to get teammates on board to do stuff like that, even when it's not required of us to have that desire, that internal desire to make yourself better and in turn the team better by just doing stuff on your own and
Right.
wanting to do that. So, and now that we're so close, we're able to look at each other in the eye and be did you run today? You want to go run? Let's go run.
Sure.
Stuff like that. And we didn't have that coming into the school year. I mean, we didn't really know each other.
How's
Everything
this
was
different
awkward.
than another off season you're heading into?
Personally, it's extremely different for me. I came from being here for a year and a half without hardly playing. I'd always go hard in practice, and I didn't really get the chance to play. And now I've started almost every game this season, and I put in some great minutes, and I consider myself a great defender and everything. And it's neat going into next season knowing exactly what I need to work on as a player, and knowing I need to get better at finishing around the basket and get better at making my little bunnies in the paint and rebounding and putbacks. That's exactly what I'm gonna focus on all summer, and in open gyms. I'm not just gonna mess around and throw up shots. I'm really gonna do the things that
Sure.
I need to do, and it's gonna be fun to be able to do a little bit more than what my exact role was on the team. But I don't think my role is gonna change, and I just want to be able to fill that role as best as I can next year and prepare for it.
Coach talked about individual meetings with the players,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't want to bust confidence here. But what's an individual meeting like with Coach McNamee? I know you talked about some things you need to work on for next year.
Well, we spoke about that, and we talked about I'm going to be a senior next year, and me and my sister and Cleela Quigley are going to be the seniors. So we really have to, step up and fill those senior roles as much as possible. And I'm really looking forward to being a motivator for everyone on the team, and just helping everybody out, especially in the off season. Hold each other accountable.
Sure.
And that's what mostly went over in the meeting, and just stepping up and being a leader.
Sure.
We kind of lacked having, we had bursts of leadership throughout the season, but we didn't have those few leaders that we could really rely on that really pull the team together. And I could see me and my sister and Q definitely being those people for next year.
Did Coach talk about goals for the weight room and conditioning program?
Not quite. I mean, we know that we're going to work a lot harder and be more disciplined, and we're probably going to hate it at times, and it's going to be rough. But I think in the long run, it's really going to help us. So I don't know specifics yet, but I know it's going to be tough.
Sure.
I'm kind of worried about it. I mean, I've already started running on my own, so
On your own,
you can
yeah.
tell I'm worried about it.
Talk about goals for next year.
I just get more wins, and I know what I want to do. I want to win the Mid-South Conference tournament and make it to the national championship and have a
Don't
shot.
lower your voice when you say that. if that's a goal of
Yeah,
yours
that's
to
what I
win the
wanna do.
Mid-South, we're going to win the Mid-South next year.
I think we can. I know we can. I feel especially since we had beat Georgetown before,
Sure.
I felt like we could have beat them, and we really could have. I know we could have, but we just didn't have it there at the very end. And next year we're going to.
There
We're
you
gonna
go.
make it
I like
there.
that confidence. I like that confidence. Courtney Haney, our guest in the Bears Den, 5'10" junior out of Lexington, and one of the returners for the 2014-15 U-Pike women's basketball program. It's been our pleasure to see you play this year. We're looking forward to next year already.
Thank you. Me too.
Courtney Haney, and we'll step into the Bears Den. Coming up next, a familiar last name, Kristen Haney. Coming up on the Joanna McNamee Show, we talk U-Pike women's basketball. It's presented by Appalachian Wireless.
I'm on top of the world, now I'm living, and the good just gets better, keeps on giving. Not even close to the end, it's just beginning. Life is getting lighter while the days are getting brighter, yeah.
Welcome back in, Andrew, Joyce, and it is the Joanna McNamee Show, where we talk U-Pike women's basketball. It's the final edition of 2013-14, as the U-Pike women have completed their season and coming off a disappointing loss in the Mid-South Conference tournament. But prior to that, a tremendous upset win over the University of Cumberland's before falling to Georgetown. The U-Pike women wrap up a 14-18 season, and joined in the Bears Den by Kristen Haney now. We give Courtney a break, send her to the studio audience, and now she gets to critique Kristen Haney, our guest in the Bears Den. Kristen, before we go any further, let's talk about the student athlete. Let's remind folks your major and what your future plans are.
I have recently changed my major to communications this year,
Yes.
and I was doing education, but it just wasn't right.
Right.
So now I'm in communications, and I have about 2 semesters left of that.
What do you want to do with that?
I like behind the camera,
Uh-huh.
not so much in the front of it, but I don't know, I like the whole digital media part of it and all of that.
It's become a popular field of study at the University of Pikeville, communications, film, and media arts. Is that due to the technology that students have available to them? They have the amateur technologies available with smartphones and things, and just being able to go professional with that. Is that what drew your interest?
Oh yes, I had no idea what is even capable of on even a computer. There's so much. I'm actually doing a web design class. I didn't know you had to do all this coding to actually make the website. So it's really cool to learning all that stuff and actually getting a feel of this technology and
Right.
what there is to come with it.
You're a junior out of Lexington, and you changed majors to communications. Still on track to graduate?
Yes, hopefully 2 semesters left.
Very good. Let's talk about Kristen Haney, the basketball player now. Your thoughts in the locker room, on the bus, as you reflected on this past season and where this program goes from here.
I definitely think as the season progressed, each individual got much better, and as a team in general, we just really came together, and that's part of it. You have to work together in order to succeed, and beginning of the year, we were all kind of, of course we didn't know each other, so that's all one part, getting to know each other on court and getting to know their individual talents and trying to get it all together. And by the end of the year, we really got that together, and that loss was just unfortunate, and I don't like to think about it. But as for next year, with the 7 of us plus the one who didn't play this year, the new one, I think we can really get a good team together and really work hard, and the newcomers, get them to work hard with us and show them what this team can be about.
Sure. Joanna McNamee's first year with the UPike program, and I know it takes time for her to learn the players, for the players to learn her, to learn expectations, to learn the system, to learn what she's looking for. As Coach Mack returns for season 2 with 7 returning players and an 8th who's been a part of the program, how does that change the way you prepare and the way you anticipate and the way you set goals for next year?
It's definitely a lot easier than it was last season trying to do it. We did postseason individual workouts, and you kind of got a feel of what she wanted, but now after the season, we know that it's going to be a lot more hard work put in, and I haven't been on a winning season here yet, and I'm really hoping to get that, and I think it's definitely possible with her, and if everyone just lives up to her expectations and keeps everyone accountable of living up to those, I think we can really get one together.
Basketball goals for next year?
Definitely fix my 3-point shooting and really be able to handle the ball and try to lead out there and get this team winning.
Better 3-point shooting. How do you accomplish that?
Definitely spending time in the gym, multiple hours in the gym, any extra time just getting in there, getting up shots.
Do you track the number of shots?
Yeah, well, she makes us sometimes. I don't like to sometimes, but yeah, I try to. I probably need to more to figure out what I'm at.
Right. There you go. Kristen Haney, off-season individual workouts, you've been through it in the past. How do you approach this off-season differently than you have before?
I'm definitely going to push harder in weights and conditioning and really get in shape and try to stay in shape, not just try to get in shape preseason, and really just work on myself as an individual and becoming who I want to become as a ball player.
Sure. As you talk to your sister, as you talk to other teammates about where this program goes from here, what are some of this team's goals outside of what coaches said?
You know, we all have the same mindset right now, and we know that if we all work together and we all, pretty much tell each other how it is, we can only go up from here. We definitely don't want another season like there was this year.
Sure. 7 returners, an 8th that's been a part of the program. When you think about those players, think about them individually, each one that will be back next year. Is it a positive mix?
Yes, definitely. I think we all can have our own individual abilities to bring into the court that will really throw teams off.
2014, 2015, UPike women, Mid-South Conference champions.
Definitely.
Definitely. No hesitation. That's the goal. Kristen Haney, thanks for being our guest. Congratulations on your career. And I know the record wasn't what you wanted it to be. Let's get it next year, and let's get that Mid-South Conference crown.
Sounds good.
Kristen Haney, our guest in the Bears Den on the Joanna McNamee Show. It's presented by Appalachian Wireless. We'll return with Coach Joanna McNamee after this.
I'm on top of the world, now I'm living, and the good just gets better, keeps on giving. Not even close to the end, it's just beginning. Life is getting lighter while the days are getting brighter, yeah.
Welcome back to the Joanna McNamee Show, presented by Appalachian Wireless. Better service, bigger savings. Today's Appalachian Wireless, proud sponsor of the UPike women's basketball program. And Coach Joanna McNamee, we've talked about this past season, 14 and 18, put to bed now, but a lot of positives to be drawn from this past season and a lot to build on for the next.
Yeah, I think there is. And I think that our program is, you know, it's definitely a brick by brick building process where we're going to be up and coming, and I think we have a good foundation that we have to build on.
Right. I called it 2 months ago that this team
You
would
did.
knock somebody off in the Mid-South Conference tournament that they weren't supposed to, and you got the upset win over Cumberland's. Today, in March 2014, for all of posterity, I'm going to say it here. This team wins 20 games next year and wins the Mid-South Conference tournament.
I like that. I like that foresight. I hope
Okay.
that's the way it works. That
It's-
sounds wonderful.
Write it down. It's already happened.
All right.
Because it's been spoken.
That's right.
I have a lot of confidence in this program. Having seen this program over the last several years, more years than I care to mention, I like the direction this program's going. I can see the hunger in your eyes, and knowing your history as a winner and talking to the players. There's a new attitude in the U-Pike women's basketball program, and I think that's nothing but a positive.
Me too.
Let's go
Well,
get
thanks.
20.
All right, let's
and
do
a
it.
Mid-South Conference
And all of our shows
championship.
will be so much more exciting.
They will be.
Yeah, they will
They'll be
be.
a lot more fun. Winning creates fun. And Coach Joanna McNamee, I do want to thank you for your time during the course of this season. It's been our pleasure to be able to provide coverage of the U-Pike women's basketball program. And we do look forward to next year and wish you good luck on the recruiting trail.
Well, thanks, and I appreciate all the support that you guys have given us, and the coverage has been spectacular.
Coach Joanna McNamee wrapping up the 2013-14 season, the final edition of the Joanna McNamee Show. Thanks to Kristen and Courtney Haney tonight, Coach Joanna McNamee, and all the gang at EKB and Pike TV. This has been a production of East Kentucky Broadcasting, Pike TV, the University of Pikeville, and it's been presented by Appalachian Wireless. I'm Andrew Joyce. Thanks for tuning in.